Arsenal join race to sign £80 million Martinodegaard and Liverpool transfer target. Arsenal have joined Manchester United and Liverpool in the race to sign Bournemouth midfielder Alex Scott, according to reports. The Gunners are keen to bolster their squad even further this summer as they prepare to defend their Premier League title next season. Despite signing Victor Gyökeres last summer, Arsenal are still considering the possibility of signing another marquee signing, with Atletico Madrid star Julian Alvarez a name under consideration. A left winger is also seen as a priority position to improve, with reports linking Mikel Arteta's side with Aston Villa and England midfielder Morgan Rogers, who can play as a number 10 and wide on the left. Further back in central midfield is another position where the Gunners are keen to strengthen, particularly if they decide to sell Christian Norgard just 12 months after his arrival from Brentford. And according to the Times, the North London club hold an interest in Bournemouth Scott after his impressive season on the south coast. The 22-year-old only missed one of Bournemouth's league games as they secured a brilliant 6th-place finish, qualifying for Europe for the first time. Scott's form almost saw him aimed in England's World Cup squad, but Thomas Tuchel instead opted for Jordan Henderson and Kobbie Mainoo as his backups for Declan Rice and Elliot Anderson. Despite that, Scott was one of 5 players who joined the England squad's preparation camp in the United States ahead of the tournament, with interest in his services for next season only heightening since then. Manchester United have identified Scott as a possible target as they look to significantly bolster Michael Carrick's midfield options this summer. The Red Devils have already agreed a £35 million deal for Atalanta midfielder Ederson, but are keen for at least one more midfielder to bolster Michael Carrick's options in central midfield. Liverpool also admire the 22-year-old and have been linked with a move since Andoni Iraola left Bournemouth to take over at Anfield. The Cherries are said to have slapped an £80 million asking price on the midfielder and are keen to discuss terms on a new deal with Scott, which could include a release clause. Elsewhere, Arsenal had been exploring a move for West Ham midfielder Matheus Fernandes, but reportedly have reservations about the Hammers' £80 million asking price. Fernandes looks poised to leave West Ham due to the club's relegation, with Manchester United currently leading the race to sign the 21-year-old. Alex Scott transfer pathway opens as £35 million bid lined up for midfielder. A development out of England's World Cup 2026 camp could influence Manchester United's summer transfer business. Manchester United's transfer plans for the summer have been boosted following one update out of the England squad. Thomas Tuchel's men are currently preparing to open their campaign in the United States and are due to face Croatia on Wednesday. Several members of the group initially flown out to the US will not be involved in that fixture, though, which could theoretically mean their attentions turn to next season. And that could ultimately prove to be good news for Michael Carrick if he looks to rebuild his side's midfield this summer. Elsewhere, United already appear to have an alternative lined up following developments in the hunt for a new engine room operator. Mirror Football has compiled some of Friday's biggest headlines out of Old Trafford as the action gets underway in North America. Bournemouth midfielder Alex Scott is set to return to the UK, and he was called up for England's pre-World Cup friendlies by Thomas Tuchel. Scott was among a number of players taken to the US by the England boss this week, with Liverpool's Rio Engamoa, Arsenal's Ethan Nwaneri and Fulham youngster Josh King also travelling stateside. Following the conclusion of England's pre-tournament fixtures though, Scott is set to depart the England camp, and that could bode well for United's recruitment. That's after The Athletic reported United will refuse to enter the £120 million bidding war for Elliot Anderson and will instead focus on more realistic targets. According to the report, Bournemouth playmaker Scott whose stepsister Maya Letizia captains United's women, and West Ham's Matheus Fernandes, both fall into that bracket, with each player likely to cost around the £80 million mark. There's a case to be made that Scott's return from the United States will free him and his representatives up to discuss a summer switch. More specifically, the player himself would also now be available to complete a medical should United and Bournemouth agree a fee. That isn't necessarily the case for players at the World Cup, whose availability for such matters are dictated by the medical staff of their respective teams. The Cherries paid Bristol City around £25 million to acquire Scott's signature in the summer of 2023. The 22-year-old has since proved he's capable at the Premier League level, with new Liverpool boss Andoni Iraola also being touted to make a move for the player, meaning United may be wise to move quickly. Carrick's side are close to announcing a new midfielder already after agreeing a £39 million deal to sign Ederson from Atalanta, although his move is now set to be delayed following his late World Cup call-up to the Brazil squad.